The high level of uncertainty in the world's economy has left many in the global logistics industry feeling confused about the prospects for 2011 and beyond. Indeed, we will only really know the true state of the market when the peak shipping season really kicks in, or not, as the case may be. However, we are in a position to make some informed guesstimates based on recent indicators. Let's talk first about the ocean shipping market. If we look at the latest shipping rates from the Shanghai Shipping Exchange, we can see that there is little sign of an upturn, although it is almost inconceivable that they could fall much lower. China to Europe rates have almost halved since the beginning of the year, whereas China-US West Coast rates have stabilised at around 20% lower. Efforts to increase these rates by the imposition of a peak season surcharge have seemingly run into choppy water. Many of the shipping lines on the eastbound Trans-Pacific routes had hoped to increase rates by $400 per 40-foot unit from 15th of June. The start date for these surcharges has now been pushed back a month, and one line, OOCL, has delayed them until August. These falling rates have prompted some carriers to cut services. The New World Alliance, which includes APL and MOL, is the latest to suspend services on its Pacific Southwest route. This follows on from a similar decision by CSAV. The state of the market has even forced some smaller carriers into bankruptcy, the most high profile being low-cost, no-frills TCC. This situation is not likely to improve next year. One estimate suggests that the global container fleet capacity will increase next year by close to 10%. With container volume set to grow by 5 to 7%, this will leave rates floundering for some time to come, unless there are large-scale layups. However, it's easy to get caught up in this gloom and ignore the fact that problems for shipping lines are actually supply rather than demand related. This is demonstrated by the following chart. Despite a seasonal drop in February, volumes to Europe from Asia are up 6% according to container trade statistics. Volumes from North America to Europe have jumped by 10%. Container throughput in Hong Kong is up by 4.1% year to date in May, and Singapore is up over 6%. In the US, the Port of Los Angeles year to date, containerized cargo is 6.6% above the same period for 2010. Let's turn our attention now to air cargo. Here, the underlying data may be more worrying than in the sea freight sector. Hong Kong air cargo terminals, for instance, reported a tonnage throughput of 220,726 tonnes in June, down 10.3% compared with the same month the previous year. Tonnage throughput for the first half of the year was down 4.7% compared with the first half of 2010. Meanwhile, Frankfurt Airport recorded a throughput of 180,000 tonnes of air freight in June, declined 6.4% compared to the same month in 2010. Year to date, Frankfurt's volumes are down by 1%. In the US, Los Angeles Airport in May 2011, tonnage declined almost 8% compared to May 2010. For the year, tonnage has declined 2.4% as compared to 2010 as well. However, even in air cargo, not all indicators are in decline. Lufthansa Cargo, one of the biggest players in the market, saw a tonnage increase of 15% in the first 6 months of 2011. Their capacity was up appreciably too, rising by almost 20%. Their increase was partly attributable to the reactivation of freighters grounded temporarily in the crisis last year, and expansion of its AeroLogic joint venture with DHL. However, although indicators are mixed, the market is not necessarily as weak as might be imagined. The fall in year-on-year airport volume figures are due to the strength of the market last year, rather than any particular weakness this year. What IATA calls the post-recession restocking cycle. Nonetheless, growth rates are half that anticipated by IATA at the beginning of the year. Looking at this positively, the organisation's economists suggest that this could lead to growth accelerating in the second half of 2011 as restocking begins again.